Hello folks, welcome to another session today. This is Jay here, and this is my daily Monday to Wednesday programming sessions on web programming. I'm doing these sessions every day from Monday to Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. IST usually it's a 1 hour session. If there are questions and all, it'll continue. So today is session number 3. You're probably watching this on, if you're watching this live, then this is happening on Twitch. The link is there on the screen. If you're watching it later, then I also have a hub, a learning hub, which I mentioned there on the screen. That is the learning hub where you should go to know more about what we are doing here. So this is the third session, so you can probably watch the first 2 sessions, which are more like introduction to know what we are trying to do. So today we are going to jump straight in, but before we start, just a quick note: who are these tutorials for? Who are these videos for? So these tutorials are meant for students, or graduates mainly, or people who are looking to become software developers for the first time, looking to learn programming for the first time. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to build a simple web app, and this is a series of tutorials and training videos to help you become a simple basic web app developer. So what is a simple basic web app? If you go on the screen right now, this is our textbook, which you can access at this website, stories.thechildcast.com/Bari basics. If you go to that website, then you'll be able to go to this tutorial website here. So let me just put that here on the screen. One second, it's doing some loading stuff. Yeah, there we go. So this is the this is the website you should go to. Let's go ahead and put a text box. Yeah, there we go. So this website here, I'm very bad in PowerPoint. I'm really sorry. I don't really use it that much. So this is the website which has, this is a link where you can find our website. I'm going to make it bigger so that you can see it, because some people have said that it's very hard to see links on the video. So there you go. This is our website, tutorials.suveshna.com. So you can see the website on the left side. This is where I am right now, and we have a link called web app demo. So if you go to this link, so this is what I call a simple web app. So this web app is responsive, which means that whether you're seeing it on a computer screen or a mobile phone screen or a tablet, it will still look, it'll change and modify as you change it. Okay, and also it consumes an API server where it can log in, it can create an account, it can make API server calls, get JSON data, and then display it. So if you already know how to build an app which does all the things I just told you, and it is available here for you to see, if you can build that, that means you're not a basic web app developer according to me. So if you already know that, then this class is not for you. But if you don't know how to build this website, this kind of website, then this session is for you. So that is my introduction to this session, and today we are trying to understand this very specific topic, which is basics, folders and files. Okay, today also we're not going to do too much of deep programming or coding, because we are still doing the foundation of the programming. So if you're here expecting some coding, it's not going to happen today also. I'm sorry about it, because before you can start coding, we have to put up some foundation concepts in place. I always use a movie example when I'm talking about foundation. It's like, okay, when you have to watch a movie, yes, the movie is the main attraction, the main reason why you want to go to the movie theater. But before you can watch the movie, you have to go to the movie. You probably have to take a taxi or take your own bike or scooter or auto or something, and then you go to the movie theater, you buy the ticket, or you buy it online, and then you go to the security checking, you go to the lift, you get yourself a coffee or something, wait in the queue. If it's a 3D movie, you have to take the 3D glasses and everything, and then finally you watch the movie. And of course, even after entering the movie theater, sometimes you have to sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes of advertisements and whatnot, and so on. So yeah, so similarly, before we jump into the real coding, we are right now spending our time getting the basics in place. So that is what we did in session number 1 and session number 2. Now this is session number 3. So today we're going to learn about files and folders, because websites have a lot of files. You need to know how to interact with files. You need to know how to interact with folders, and that is something. And also we're going to learn a little bit. So today's topic, let me get a list here. Let me go ahead and put this up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so today we are going to learn about files and folders, which is the very core concept before you start writing code and everything. But we also learn how to use Visual Studio Code, and of course we'll finally gonna learn how to use Codepen. Now yesterday's session, the previous session, I spoke about how throughout our tutorial until the final project we are going to use Codepen, and I already explained the reasons yesterday, but mainly Codepen works in your browser, which is easy to manage. So that is the main thing, and it has everything you need for web app development. So we are going to use Codepen throughout the sessions, all the sessions until the final demo project. But there may be some of you who want to start using Visual Studio Code from the first day, and of course at the end, the final project, when we build the final project live, we are going to use Visual Studio Code anyway. So that is also something I'm going to talk about today. And of course we'll learn about files and folders, which also means you're going to learn a little bit about paths. Okay, now this doesn't mean that we'll cover everything about files. This doesn't mean we'll cover everything about folders. We'll cover everything about paths. Not really. Okay, as always, I have to remember you guys, the program is called Bari Basics, which means I'm only going to teach you the very basics required to build our demo app, which you see on the screen on the left side. Okay, that is all I'm going to teach, and whatever is required to do that, I'm going to teach you. Everything else you have to learn from someone else or some other book and so on. So this is the topic for today. I'm going to start in a minute or two. If you have any questions, type it in. I'm going to resume in a minute or so. If you have any questions, just post it in. Otherwise, I'm going to start about this in a minute or so. I know there's a delay in the video coming there and you guys listening and typing, so I'm going to give it a minute or so. Yeah. But of course, don't forget, you can type in a question whenever you want. No harm done. No problem at all. Okay, I don't think there are any questions. If you do get any questions, you can post them whenever you want. That's totally fine. So now let me start by opening Visual Studio Code, because that is where we'll be using more files and folders. So here's our Visual Studio Code. You have seen this software yesterday in the previous session, and this is one of the main developer tools that we are going to use in web app development. So now in Visual Studio Code, what we are doing here is, first is, so when you are working on a web app, you have to understand that every website or web app starts with a folder. Okay, and now also what I would recommend is, since you're starting for the first time, in your computer have one folder as the folder where you keep all your code. For example, on my computer, you'll see here that I have my D drive here. I have my D drive and I have a folder called code repos. I'll talk about repos. It has something to do with GitHub. We'll talk about GitHub in a future session. So I have something called code repos folder where I keep all my projects. And right now I have created a folder called Bari Basic. And then I'm going to go ahead. This is the folder where I want to keep all the folders about this training. So similarly, if you're practicing right now on your computer, you can do that. Like If you're listening to this class, you can have a second laptop or a second monitor and you can practice along with me. That's totally fine. Or you can practice later, you can watch the recording and so on. So please have one folder where you're going to keep all your projects, and in every project folder you keep all the project files. So have that organization going so that tomorrow you'll not get confused and things like that. So now I have a folder called Bari Basic, and then here what I'll do is I will create a folder for today. So I will say files and folders practice. So I have a folder called files and folder practice. So this is how you're gonna go ahead and create a folder. Let me show that again. So I'll right click. If you're on Windows, Mac, I think the steps will be a little different, but it's mostly the same. So you go to new and then you go and create a new folder, and then you give it whatever name you want. Now when you're creating a folder, there are some steps you have to remember. So let me just type that here. So when you are thinking of okay, so things to remember when creating a folder. Okay, one thing is some people have a habit of giving spaces. Okay, so let me show that. Now this may be a little too small. I don't think I can make this bigger, so sorry about it. So when you create a new folder, some people will give it a name, something like, okay, class space practice. Okay, class space practice. Now there's nothing wrong with a name like that, but please avoid giving spaces, mainly because it is difficult to use space when you are writing commands and executing commands, and when you're doing this path and all that. Having a space makes it a little difficult, not impossible, a little difficult to manage. So first thing to remember is no spaces in the name. It applies to files also. Avoid giving spaces in the name. Don't do that. So always have continuous name. Now look at this here. The name I have given is files and folders practice. Now this is a proper name. And look at that. Another thing which I've done is give some meaningful name when you're creating a folder. Now this is a very simple step. A lot of people, what they do is, I wouldn't say it is wrong. There is no such thing called wrong thing or right thing when it comes to programming. You are a developer. As you grow older, you may do something which another person might feel is wrong. That's okay. All right, so this is what is working for me. So I'm just explaining things which I use in my developer job and life and so on. So always give a folder which has some meaning. So right now when I look at this folder name, sorry, not that one, this one, it clearly says that this folder was created to do coding about files and folders. Okay, so it clearly has some meaning and it has no spaces. And I have a habit of making the first letter in the name. This name has 1, 2, 3, 4 words. So I have a habit of making the first letter of the word capital. So it's easy for me to read. Again, there is no scientific reason for it. There may be a scientific reason, I don't know. But what I know is this makes it easy for me to read that name, the capital letters. So I give capital letters when I use it. So I would recommend you also do the same. So this file name, very simple. Give meaningful names, no spaces, and use capital letters if possible. So this is something which has worked for me. This is not like a fixed rule or something. This is just recommendations. Okay, so I've created a folder, and that is the folder which I'm going to use for today's practice. So how do I open that folder? Now remember, this is something which is useful if you are practicing using Visual Studio Code. If you're using Codepen, you don't have to worry about this right now. Okay, so this is only for Visual Studio Code. So go to Visual Studio Code. We have it here. And then I'm going to say open folder. You can open it from here, right? Or you can go to file and you can go to open folder here. Okay, so once you open, on the left side you have your computer, you go to the folder where you kept it. Okay, so go to D and then go to code repos, and then you have the folder Bari Basic, and then I have the folder files and folders practice. Okay, there you go, files and folders practice. That is the folder I created. So this is what we call in software development, we call this project folder. Why? Because this folder contains all the files about your project. Simple. Okay, so for example, this website, this simple web app that I have built, this is the project for demo web app. I've written it there, right there, sample web app. So it's a project sample web app. So I would have given it some folder name, project Bari basics web app something when I started working on it. Okay, so it's a project folder which contains all the files. So similarly, here I've gone ahead and created a project folder, and once you've selected it, you select the folder and it will open up on Visual Studio. So you can see here on the left side, the folder name is visible. Files and folders practice. That is our project folder. And the thing to remember is don't give spaces. Make sure that the name has some meaning when you give the folder, project folder, a name, and if possible, use capital letters in the beginning of the word so that it is easy for you to read. And that is how you create a project folder, which I've just shown you right now. Now you may be thinking, I already know how to create a project folder. Why am I spending so much time? That's the thing, you know, I have been teaching for 8 years and I've taught all over the country here in India, and there are a lot of people for whom, like let's say someone is using the computer for the first time. See, the thing is, everybody is using mobile phone these days, and many people don't use computers except for work. So if you're gonna become a programmer, that means you're ready to work. And it is possible that you may have difficulty using and creating folders and how to give it a name and all that. So that is why I'm spending so much time on this very simple but important step. So those who already know about folders and names, sorry about the lengthy explanation, because there are a lot of people out there, I have seen it myself in the last 8 years, who don't know how to create folders, who don't know how to give it a proper name. Hence this lengthy, elongated, kind of boring but essential explanation. Alright then, so I've created the folder. Now we have to create files. So how do we create files? There are many different ways of creating files, but because throughout this training, whenever we use, 90% we'll use Codepen, where files are already created for you. So that's okay. But remaining time, especially the final project, the final training project, you know, I always say, if you are going to a training, at the end of the training, you should build an app. If you can't build an app, that means the entire training was wasted. Because you build an app, that's how you know you know something. If you can't build an app, then what's the point of the training? So at the end of our training, at the end of all these classes, we will build this app, which is already there. So we will build our app, this app, we'll build it live on the class. And when we build it, we know that we learned something. All right, so at the end of our training, we'll have to use Visual Studio Code. Why? As I mentioned in the previous class, if you're gonna become a proper web developer, you need to learn how to use the necessary tools. And the necessary tool for, what was that? Sorry, I'm gonna mute that. So the necessary tool for web development is an editor, text editor, and I recommend Visual Studio Code. That is why it's important to know how to use this one and how to create files and folders here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I have the project folder already open, so I'm gonna go ahead, and you see here in the top left corner, you see small menu. You have an option to create a new file, create a new folder, and so on. So you can use these shortcuts, or you can go to file and you can say file, new folder. Oh, sorry, one second, that's open folder. Where is that? Yeah, new. Oh, there's no option to create a new folder. Yeah, here we go. So let's create a new folder here, and I'll call this, right now I don't have anything to put here, so I'm just gonna call this temp1. I just wanna show you how to do it. So there you go, folder created. Now I wanna create a file. Now when you create a file, you must create the type of file you want to use in your web app. So in a website, you will have, let's create a new slide here. One second. I'm really bad at PowerPoint, folks. Maybe I should learn PowerPoint. I'll learn it, but till then I'll somehow manage. So what kind of files are we using in web apps? Mainly there are three kinds of files. You have HTML, and then you have CSS, and then you have JavaScript. These are 3 files we'll use. Now every type of file will have an extension. An extension means, if you have a Word document, it will be like hello.docx. That is the extension for the Word document. So if you have a music file, it will be some song.mp3. So that dot and then something is called an extension. So for HTML, the extension is .html. And for CSS, the extension is .css. And then for JavaScript, the extension is .js. So these are the 3 kind of files we'll mainly use when you are building a web app. Of course, when you're building a website, you will also have images. The images, they have many kind of extensions. You have .png, .jpg, and then you have .jpeg, and there are so many formats. You may even use videos in your web app, which may have extensions like .mpg or .mp4, and so on. So you will have a lot of these extensions and files. So now my friend BC, guys, I'm sorry for interrupting. My friend BC Games Shelf is one of my another friend of mine on Twitch. He's hosting the channel. BCS, thank you so much, man. A big shout out for the hosting boost. Thank you very much. So coming back, folks. So yes, so extensions and now usually images and videos you can't create in Visual Studio Code, but HTML, CSS, JavaScript you'll be creating directly in Visual Studio Code. So now we will do that right now. So I'll go here and I will say I have this option called new file. I'm gonna go ahead, click on new file, and then I will say index.html. Usually when you the first file you create in a web app, it's gonna be index.html. So that is what I have created here. So now the thing is, I think this file has gone inside temp1, so I'm gonna remove it outside. Let me see if I can drag it outside. It's not coming, so let me delete this and let me start again. So I'm going to create a new file. I'll call this index.html. Now index.html is a HTML file. It's already created. That's it, no problem. So next I want to create a CSS file because that is the next thing in our agenda. So let me go ahead and do that. So this is done. Let me create a CSS file. So I'm going to say new file, and I'll also call this, say, style.css. Yeah, there we go. That's it, style.css. The file is created and you can see it here on Visual Studio Code. Now finally, we're going to create a JavaScript file. So it's going to be script.js. That's it. So I created the file index.html, script.js, which is a JavaScript file, and style.css, which is a for CSS file, style sheet. We call it cascading style sheet. Why it is called CSS, why it's called JS, we'll talk about that when we go deep into CSS, JavaScript, and HTML in the future session. So this is how you'll go ahead and create files. Now there is one thing I would like to do here though. So now we have a project folder, and then now create the file. So that is files and folders. But this is not how you will actually have a proper web app. So let's go ahead and open our demo app and see how it looks. All right. So now look at this. So if I go here, I'll open the project folder. Let me go ahead and open a new window, and I'm gonna keep it on the left side, and then I'll open the project folder here. Let's see, and not this. Let's go to tutorials. Yes, there we go. Select folder. Now look at all these folders, how many files are there. So let me just go here and then here. Now I hope the video is able to show this clearly. Now the thing is, I can zoom these things, I can make these things bigger, but I can't make the left side bigger. So okay, so this is our folder. This is our folder which contains the basic web app. All right, now you'll notice that this project folder has a folder called assets, it has another folder called HTML, it has another folder called Postman, scripts, style, and then index.html. So it is having a combination and mix of files and folders. Okay, now here if I open the index file, now this is the web app, this web app here. Okay, this is the project folder of this app. you'll notice that I've done something here. Now look at this. This is what I would like to focus on. Now I have a link here which says consume API, and then there's some code. Forget about the code. Don't worry about the code right now. Look at what is happening here. So this is where we're using paths and folders together. Let me copy this and put it on PowerPoint so you can see it more clearly. So let me duplicate this file here. Okay, so now let's put this here. Okay, perfect. Now look at this. All right, now let me find one more thing I want to show. Now, yes. Now let's look at this path. So I have something called this. I'll talk about what is href later. I'll talk about it. Okay, and then I'm gonna add one more line here, and this one is gonna talk about, okay, I got this one also. You'll notice that there is some things which are common for both of these things, and there are some things which are different about both of these things. So we're gonna talk about this, and I want to, yeah, there we go. Okay, all right, and finally I would like to, is there something which is local, even more local? All right, okay, that's fine, that's fine. So now here, and I want to do one more thing. I want to go to sign in, and here I want to take this. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay, now I'm picking up things from my own code so you know that it is working, and you'll understand what each of that is. And I just want one more. I think it is here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Perfect, there we go. Yeah, that's another thing I want to show. Don't worry about what is href and all that. I will explain to it later when we talk about tags. Okay, so we have some things here. So let's make this a little smaller. Okay, so let me make this bigger here on the screen so it's easy to see. Maybe I can make this even more bigger. There. Okay, all right. Okay, so there is a question here about the. Yes, there's a question from Sir Peanut. He says it's hard to read with the light team. That is correct. I'm gonna zoom in Visual Studio Code when I really start typing, but as of now I've started putting the code in PowerPoint. So I think PowerPoint is much more legible. Please let me know if it is not legible, Sir Peanut. So coming back. So this is where this is something which always confuses. You know, in all my years of teaching, for some reason a lot of web developers, they do get confused with paths. I don't know why. Okay, when I was learning, not trying to show off or anything, but I had no issues with paths. Maybe it's because I was able to figure it out. You know, you need some amount of visualization when you are working with paths. So we're gonna spend some time with paths. It is very boring, just like folder creation and all that. But this is where I've seen a lot of people get confused, and half the time the links don't work and they get confused and it doesn't work. So let's do with it. So first thing is, now look at this. Now forget about what href is. Now we'll talk about that in a future class. So look, in all the cases, this is the same. So you know we are trying to do the same thing, but on the right side, there is some different things going on. Each time there is something different going on. For example, now let's start with, I want to start with this. Okay, so here we are pointing, you know, path is ultimately about pointing something like, hey, go here, or use this, use that. That is what we are trying to do. So here what we are trying to say is this file API service demo.html is a neighbor for the current file. Okay, so, or you can call it a sibling. You can either call it a neighbor or you can call it a sibling. So when you have a file which is a neighbor or a sibling, you just directly put the name of the file in your path, and this works with HTML files, images, CSS, whatever it is that you're trying to do. If it's a neighbor or a sibling, you directly mention the name of the file and it will work. Okay, now let's see how it works here. So now this is where this is the file name is signin.html, which is here. Okay, now signin.html, I know in Visual Studio Code you can't see it properly. Let me try to zoom in a bit. Where is zooming? I never had to zoom, and for some reason they are not giving the zoom. Where is zoom here? Okay, this is very, very embarrassing because I never zoomed, so, and they haven't given zoom option. So usually mouse wheel should work, but mouse wheel is not doing any zoom. Oh my god. Appearance, there you go, control plus, yeah, there we go. All right, control plus equals, so control plus, where are you, control plus equals, man, this, oh, whoa, sorry, okay, it became too big. Maybe this is better. Okay, all right, there we go. Right, so now here let's look at the folder here. So I have this file signin.html. Yes, I eventually found it. I think it's in view, appearance, zoom. I don't know why they've used such a complex combination for zooming, but anyway, it's okay. Yes, all right. Okay, perfect. So there we go. So we have this file, but maybe this is too big. Let me make this a little smaller. Okay, I think this is better. All right. Okay, all right. So I have this file signin.html, and the link I'm talking about is this one. So it directly states the name file. Oh, there you go, SERPinit. Yeah, I think this is what you're looking for, since I'm now directly using Visual Studio Code. Okay, there you go. I never zoomed, guys. I'm sorry. That is why I don't know how to zoom. Really sorry. All right, so that's okay. It's my fault. All right. So if you look at this file, signin.html on the left side, this is your folder, and you'll find that the API service is a sibling. Okay, so signin.html and API service demo.html, they are both kind of like siblings, which means they are in the same folder. So when you have two files in the same folder, you just have to directly mention the file name. That's all you have to do for the path name, and that works for images, it works for CSS files, JavaScript files, everything. Okay, next let's go to the PowerPoint again. So now next I want to look at this HTML/API service demo.html. So this one, I believe it was in index.html. So let me go. So there we go. So here, this is the one. Now here there's something else happening. So we are once again using href. So we are trying to point at that file. But before we can go to the file, this is the same file, API service demo.html. But you'll notice on the left side, this file, API service demo, is inside the HTML file. So imagine like, you have a wallet or something. So, whenever you go to the shop, before you pay someone, the money is inside the wallet. So first you have to remove your wallet, put your hand inside and get the money. So if you're keeping money in your pocket, then you directly take it. But if the money is in a wallet, then you put your hand inside the wallet and then you take your money out. This is kind of like that. So right now, this is the file which you're trying to point to, and this file is inside this folder called HTML. So what you're saying is, now imagine if the browser, that browser is where all of this happens. So if your browser is a friend, you tell your friend, the browser, first you go to this folder HTML, and inside you'll find this file API service demo.html. So if you have two folders, then you say, folder 1, folder 2, HTML / again some folder name / file name. So you just kind of go deep inside and deep out. And SERPinit says it's a good example. Thank you, SERPinit. Thank you so much for the kind words. So that is how you do. Now you obviously, in a complex project, you will have 5 layers of folders, 6 layers of folders, 10 layers of folders. That's okay, but I am not using it. I have to remind you again and again that this is a basics only class. I don't want to teach you, how to build an entire hierarchy of folders. Some people, what they do is, especially when you're traveling, you have a big bag, and then inside that you have another wallet, and inside that purse or something you have another wallet. So you have like 3 bags inside which you have your money. So we are not going to do such complex things. In my demo app, you have one folder in which you have kept all your files. So we'll only have one layer of folders, or one level of hierarchy, okay, or 2 levels of hierarchy from the root folder. Now, speaking of which, there is something called the root folder. See, the main project folder. So right now here we created a folder called files. Let me make this bigger. We create a folder called files and folders and practice. Now that folder, once you go inside that folder, that is called the root folder. That's it. You may have heard people say project root, root folder, project root. This is the project root. So right now, these 3 files, index.html, script.javascript, style.css, they are all files in the root folder. So they are in the root hierarchy or root level. There are many words, it doesn't matter. Root folder is a simple way to talk about this. Okay, now in my project, so right now if you look at this project folder, index.html is in the root folder, whereas API service demo is one level away from the root folder. So you have root folder, and inside the root folder you have the HTML, and inside the HTML folder you have API service demo.html. And Altair is mentioning that this is kind of like the origin. Exactly. So your project folder is where everything starts. Okay, it's like the sun. If your project is a solar system, the sun is the center. Similarly, in your project folder, this is the origin folder or root folder. Okay, so whatever makes you easy to learn, you can call it the origin folder, it is fine. You can call it the root folder, that is fine. Okay, and so that is the hierarchy. And like I said, some projects have like 5, 6 hierarchies and all. In our project, we are going to keep it simple, one hierarchy, and that's it. Okay, so that is why you have something like this. So here I'm saying href, go to the HTML folder. Your browser is your friend, so you are telling your browser, hey man, go to HTML folder first and then find me this file. So one level of hierarchy. So you're digging inside. And now let's again, same thing here. Look at this. So here again, the browser, you're saying from the root folder, okay, from the root folder, you go to the folder called style, and inside that style folder, you will find signin.css. And that's it. That's the path. One level inside, and then you find the file. So again, same thing, similar. Now, before I talk about this dot, okay, dot is different. Let me talk about this. So what is happening here? What is happening here? So you are here you have something like API service demo.html. Here you have something like HTML/API service demo.html. But here you have something like http.mywebsitename.com. So what is happening there? Now there, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to say the href, which you learn in one of the classes, can work with local files, which means files which are on your website, in your project folder, in your web server, but they can also link to outside websites, outside files, outside folders. If you have a background in computer science, if you have gone through any course in computer science at college or something, then you will know that internet is a collection of websites. Yes? Okay, you have so many websites, millions of websites probably. We don't have a count. Which is why we use href to link things. Ultimately, you have to link everything. You're linking with files in your own project, and you're linking with websites and other files on the internet. So which is why you use href. So what you're seeing here is where you're trying to link to an outside website. So we'll learn about href later, because right now I'm just trying to show you paths. So this is a path to a different website entirely, whereas everything else is a path to a file inside your project. So that is what we are trying to do here. Now, so this is about digging in. Okay, so right now in this folder, see, index.html is in the root folder. So when the website is in the root folder, you are digging in to the file you want. So from the root folder, I want to go to API service demo.html. First I dig into HTML, and then I pick up API service demo.html. But what happens with this? So here what happens is, now whenever you are in a specific page, you know, you're in a location on a website. Now this is where things will get a little confusing. So let's find out. So we are going here now. If in my website, so I'm going to say, now what is this? I'm going to say, let me go to consume. Okay, I'm going to go to, there you go. Now let's look at this. Now at the very top, look at this website. So here, this is my website. Okay, let me copy that and put that here in a new. Okay, what is the shortcut for a new slide? Yeah, there you go. All right, okay. Insert text. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is the website. Now I am right now in this web page. Okay, here. I'm right now in this page, which is visible on this PowerPoint slide here. I'm on this page. So when I'm in this page, if I want to go back to home, or if I want to go back one level high, or if I want to get a file which is one level high, then I have to use ... So let's see how that code is this is the part where people get confused. So let me see if I can explain that, and maybe you'll get an idea, but you'll only get it when you do the practicing, which we'll do in a future class. So here what is happening is, so I'm going to go to API service demo.html, and here what I'm doing is, I want this file signin.css. Okay, so if I go to this folder and let me go here, let me just open this folder. Okay, so this is my project folder. This is called the root. Okay, let me keep it on the left side. Now let me open this HTML. So I'm going to keep this HTML on the right side. Okay, so this is inside the HTML folder on the right side, and this is the main root folder on the left side. Now HTML has this file called API service demo.html. Now in this file, which you can see here, we are trying to use this signin.css file. Okay, now the thing is, in the HTML folder, you don't have any CSS files. You can see it here. You don't have any. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, I think this is bigger. Yeah. So if you look at this right side folder, which is the HTML folder, you don't have any CSS files. Okay. So where is the CSS file? The CSS file, now let's come back to the root folder, and in the root folder I have a folder called style. Let me zoom it in and maybe you can see it. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but this is the style folder. Now inside the style folder I have the file called signin.css. So this file, API service, in the folder called HTML, wants this file called signin.css, which is inside the folder called style. So two separate folders in separate locations, they want to talk to each other. Okay, so that is what we are trying to do here with this command. So we are saying, let me make this bigger. So we are saying, okay, now I want that file signin.css, which is inside the folder called style. Okay, but where is the style folder? The style folder is inside the root folder. Okay, now look at this. Style folder and the HTML folder, they are both siblings side by side, which means they are in the same level. Okay, so which means you only have to go up. Okay, so till now I talked about going down from the root, but now you're trying to go up from inside a folder. This is very confusing. Okay, but hopefully you're able to follow. So here I'm saying okay, Mr. Browser, browser is your Firefox where your website runs. Go one level up. Okay, so which means, okay, I'm now in HTML. I will go one level up. Okay, I'm one level up. Dot dot means one level up. If you have dot dot slash dot dot, that's two levels up. If you have dot dot slash dot dot slash, you have three levels up. So right now I am saying, okay, browser, the browser is what shows the website, please go one level up. So I am now in one level up. Now once you go to one level up, please find the folder called style. Okay, very good, I'll do that. So I'll find the folder called style. Done, I found it, it's here. So imagine I'm the browser. So I found the folder called style. Now go inside the folder, that's what we are trying to say. So I'll go inside. Once I'm inside, I want to find a file called signin.css, and here is the file. That's it. That is what we are trying to say here. I hope you understood what I just said. So this file, API service demo, is, let me do that again. So this file, API service demo, is inside this folder called HTML. Now from this location, we have to talk to this file in another folder. So we, in the code, we are saying dot dot, which means go one level up. Done. Then please find the folder called style. Done. And then find the file called signin.css. So it's like, giving, like how in Google Maps or yeah, that's the only mapping app, right? Apple Maps. You give directions like, go straight, half meter, 500 meters, take a right turn, stop, walk for 500 meters, take a right turn, walk for 200 meters, and you are at your destination. Same thing here. So you have to tell your browser, go one level up, there find this folder, there go inside. Again, how many levels you want to go inside that many level, and then find your file. So that is what we do with paths. That is why this path looks like this. So we are trying to say one level up, you'll find a folder called style, go inside that folder, and you'll find a file called signin.css. Now here, same thing is happening. Go one level up, you will find a file called index.html. So that's it. That is your paths going down and going up and finding the file that you want. So this is about files and folders, and this rule applies to HTML files, CSS, JavaScript, images, any other file that you're using. We'll be using these paths constantly, and I'll explain this path concept constantly once we start coding practice. But right now, I hope you know the basics of paths and folders, how to create a project folder, how to create project files, and all this. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so this is all about files and folders. So this is done. Okay, so here we are going to take a short 5-minute break because my tongue is about to go totally bad if I don't take a short break. So I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll go through how to use Visual Studio Code in a very quick fashion. We are already doing Visual Studio Code here, so we're already kind of using it, but we'll add some code and do some code running and all that. So how to use Visual Studio Code, and of course the main thing, how to use Codepen. Now Codepen using is very important because that is what we'll be using in all our projects. So you will have to learn how to use Codepen, otherwise you will be confused when you try to practice. Okay, how do I practice? I'm attending this guy's classes, but I can't practice. So we're gonna have a quick look into how to use Visual Studio Code, and then we're gonna go deep into how to use Codepen, so which we'll do after the break. So if you also please take a break, don't end the stream or don't go away. So come back after the break, 5 minutes, I'll be back. Okay, alright folks, I've taken my short break. I hope you guys also took a short break. Welcome back again after the break. So what are we going to do next? And that would be Visual Studio Code. How are we going to use it for a very simple, so we'll build a simple HTML quick project. Okay, so what I'll do here is, for me, the best website for learning basics is this website called W3 Schools. Now I have to admit that a lot of people don't like this website. You know, they think this website is for children and no, nobody should use this, that any person who uses the website is something wrong with that person and all that, and all of that might be true. Okay, so if someone is already an expert, they have every reason not to like this website. But for me especially, this website has been a lifesaver. You know, I worked on some crazy big projects with customers all over the world. So yes, I like W3 Schools. So what we'll do here is I'm trying to build some, you know, simple HTML and CSS. So let me do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to go here and yeah, there you go. Okay, so I want to get this output using Visual Studio Code. That is all I want to do. I want to show you guys how to use Visual Studio Code in a very quick, simple fashion. That is what I want to do. So I will go ahead and I want to get this output on the right side on my computer. Okay, so I'll go to Visual Studio Code here. Okay, this is our project and I have my index.html and I'll take this code from W3 Schools. We'll worry about what these things are later. I just want to show you how it works on Visual Studio Code. And there you go, this is the code. And I've saved it. Visual Studio Code, it automatically saves. Anyway, so this is my code which I've written. So here what I'll do is I'll change this a little bit. I'll call this Bari Basics. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and there we go. Here I'll just type hello there and I'm gonna type welcome to my programming class on Twitch. Okay, so I've just made a simple, you can call this a simple website. So I want to see this output on my screen. So on Visual Studio Code, if you're using it, please type this much in. Okay, and then you can go, I need to go to terminal. Now this is a complicated step. Now to do this step, you'll need to have Node.js installed and you need to install a simple package called HTTP server. Now, you know, if you don't want to do this, that's okay. We'll do it later, but I want to show it to you anyway. So I'll go to terminal and then I'll type this command HTTP server. It's a Node.js package. Okay, and it'll run. You know, it says setting up the server and then you have a link. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. It says some warning, don't worry about it right now. And it's coming like this, and then I have to do this step. There we go. Okay, this is exactly identical. So let me take this out, put it on the left side. Look at this, this and this on the right side, they are both identical. I just changed the text. And that is a very simple way on how you would go about using Visual Studio Code. Okay, now throughout the class I mentioned before that we'll not be using Visual Studio Code till the end of the training, till the end of these classes. But if you want to start using Visual Studio Code right away, this is all you have to do. You know how to use files, you know how to use folders, you know where you have to type. But the thing is, you'll have to learn how to install Node.js. You'll have to learn how to run HTTP server from terminal and all that. So that is something which you'll have to learn on your own until I reach that stage of the classes. But right now, this is one way to write your code, get the output on your browser using Visual Studio Code. It's a very simple way of using Visual Studio Code. But if you have any specific questions, you can put it on the chat or you can get in touch with me on Discord, and that is totally fine. So that's all there is for Visual Studio Code. I'm going to just wrap it up with Visual Studio Code. It's over. I don't want to use it again, not till at the end of this training. So let me close this. I'm done with Visual Studio Code. Let me close this also. I'm done with Visual Studio Code. This one also. Let me close this. Close folder. I'm all set with that. I'm done with it. So now we are going to go to Codepen. So Visual Studio Code is done for now. That's all I want to show. If anyone wants to do some advanced Visual Studio Code, until I teach it in a later class, you'll have to learn on your own. Now, let's come to Codepen. Now, Codepen is very, very important to our training because that is where we'll be doing all our coding. So this is again an important topic, which is like a basic thing which you need to run and remember. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me go here, codepen.io. Okay, we are in Codepen. Now, Codepen is what is called as a live editor. Now, it's called a live editor because you write your code and you get the output immediately, and once you're done some work, you can share that link with anybody and they can immediately start seeing that code and changing that code. In fact, today whatever I do on Codepen, there'll be a link. I can share that link with you directly in the chat box and you can see it on your computer and you can start making changes to it in your own Codepen account. Okay, now first thing is I want to spend some time about how to create an account on Codepen. Now I'm not going to show you the steps on how to create a Codepen because my Codepen account is already created, so I can't do that step again. Otherwise I'll have to create another dummy account, which I don't want to do. So my suggestion is, if you're going to use Codepen, I mean you have to, if you are going to join my class, I mean if you're going to start coming to these classes every day, you have to create a Codepen account. My best recommendation is you first create an account on GitHub. Okay, now because we are going to be using GitHub, I am going to teach you how to use GitHub basic commands and everything in one of the sessions before we start our final training project. So GitHub is something which you will have to have. So creating an account on GitHub, you just have an email address and you sign up. Okay, after you create an account on GitHub, you come back to Codepen. So let me just sign out here. And you can actually just log in with your GitHub account. You see this? Of course, you can directly create an account on Codepen. There is nothing wrong with it. But my personal recommendation is you first create an account on GitHub because anyway you need GitHub, and then you come in and just log in with GitHub, and that's it. Do it the easy way. Okay, and also as a developer you must have a GitHub account, and a lot of online websites, they allow you to log in with GitHub. It is kind of like how you have a Facebook account. If you have a Facebook account or a Twitter account, you can log into almost all the websites. Or if you have a Gmail account, you can log into almost all the websites. In the developer world, GitHub is becoming something like that. So if you have a GitHub account, you can pretty much log into all the developer oriented websites without having to create any account. It saves you a lot of time, because another thing which I've seen with a lot of students during my training years is many students, they create accounts, they forget the password, and sometimes they forget the email address they used to create the account. Now, I don't want you to become like them, like those students. So you got to be smart with this, but the reality is there are so many apps these days, there are so many accounts these days, it will drive you crazy because you can't keep track of all the passwords, you can't keep track of which account you use for what. So don't get into that mess. Make your life simple, create a GitHub account and use it for everything. Problem solved, and ensure that you have enabled two-factor authentication on your GitHub account. So even if your password is stolen, your account is not compromised. So please enable two-factor authentication, two-step verification, and keep your GitHub account safe. Okay. So now either after this class or right now already, if you already have a GitHub account, go ahead and log into your Codepen account and get it ready. All right. So I have my Codepen account. I'm already logged in. So once you log in, they'll show you what is called as pen. So I think that is where the website name is, Codepen. I think pen means a pen is a place where you keep your poultry. I think like these farmers and all. I think they keep. I think pen means poultry, where they keep all the eggs or birds or something. I think that is a pen. I think a pen of birds, a pen of something. I think so. So I think this is where a pen is where you keep your code. So it's a code pen. Very smart, right? Code pen, where you keep your code, I guess. Okay. So I think that's where the name comes, Codepen, because this is where you put your put your code. That's where the name comes from. It doesn't matter, Codepen, that's the name. Okay, and once you log in, you'll get something like this. Obviously I have my dashboard here. Okay, now here I have kept all my things. There is, what I've done is, every code that I'm doing in this, with my textbook, I have my textbook here, this textbook, the link is available on my website, Bari Basic website. So in this textbook, whenever every chapter, I'm just going to show you, for example, this is a chapter we'll discuss in the next class. I'll always put the Codepen link. Yeah, there you go, see? I always have a section called Codepen. So whatever topic I'm explaining to you, you don't have to ask me, Jay, where is the code? No problem. Just go to the chapter which I've discussed in each class. This is not the class. I'm discussing tomorrow. I think I'll discuss, or next week I'll discuss HTML tags. Every chapter, every code I discuss always will have a Codepen section, so that you don't have to scramble. Where is the code? Where is the code? Don't worry. Just go to whatever chapter. In the tutorial I made a long list of the topics. So you want to know about basic tags, click on it, and then scroll down, and you have a Codepen for basic HTML. So you click on it directly, that Codepen will open. There you go. And this code is tested. Every link which I put, I make sure that it is error-free as much as possible. Okay, so this is the Codepen for that chapter. The code is tested, running fine, and all that. Okay, that is how I'm going to use Codepen. And the best part is, you go to this link, you can make a copy of it. How do you make a copy of a link? Very simple. I think you have an option called fork. You see here on the bottom right corner. I'm sorry I can't make it bigger, but you get an option called fork. When you log into your Codepen, when you click on this link, you'll go there, you click on fork, and it'll create a new pen. So let me go ahead and do that. So if I go ahead right now and click on fork, there you go. That's it. Immediately, okay, it says a new pen was created. That's it. You can edit whatever you want. Problem solved. Yeah, okay. So there you go. That's one of the best ways you use Codepen. So I'll give a link in every chapter. You click on it, it goes to your Codepen, and then you click on fork, and then it creates a copy, and you can start editing, you can start making changes, practicing, whatever you want. No problem whatsoever. Okay, now that's about the Codepen. Now let's come back here. So that is the dashboard and how I use Codepen in my chapters. You get tested, usable code right there and then. You don't have to go and copy something, download something. No, it's right there in the chapter. Click and ready to use for you immediately, so you can practice. Okay, so now in Pen, what I would recommend to you is, if you go to my textbook, okay, I'm going to show my textbook again. All right, now in my textbook, this is very important. Everything starts with the textbook. My textbook has all the links and everything. I have something called as a template. I hope you're able to see this on the screen right now. I've highlighted it. So if you go to my textbook, scroll down, item number 5, I have something called template for use for Codepen, and of course I have a template to use for Visual Studio Code. So if you're practicing in Visual Studio Code along my classes, use the Visual Studio Code template. If you're practicing with me on Codepen, which is recommended is Codepen right now, you can use the Codepen template. So the Codepen template has ready to use code to start your practice. Okay, so let me click on it, open it. So this is my template. Okay, every class I do, every chapter, every code I write, I always start with a template, and it is ready. It has a nice simple presentation and everything. Of course it has my website name and all that. If you want it, you can delete that also. I'm totally cool with it. It's not like you can't edit it. You just have to fork it and you can edit it. Problem solved. Okay, so this is a template. I would strongly recommend you go to my website, tutorial website, whenever you're practicing. Take this template. It'll make your life easy, because it has definitely made my life easy, and it's free, so it's not like you're paying or anything. And like I said, if you don't like this template, you can just, if you don't like these links here, no problem. What I would recommend is go here to the fork, click on fork. Okay, it'll create a new copy. All right, you don't like this link in the bottom, you think it's like advertisement or something, no problem. Just go here and delete that link. There you go. Gone. If you don't like advertisement, if you don't want to see my website name, it's okay. This template is again ready to use. So I strongly recommend that you use my template for all your coding practice throughout the classes and so on and so forth. And Altaya has a question. Altaya, yes, that is my textbook, guys. Altaya has posted the link on the chat also. That is my textbook, Altaya, which I'm slowly building. So before every chapter, I make sure that the chapter is ready for the classes. So that is my textbook. It is open source, guys. So if any of you are already developers, or as you learn, you find a mistake in the textbook, you think that the sentence is wrong, spelling is wrong, perfect, Altaya. Thank you so much. So you can edit the textbook, and it's open source project. If it's it's a free textbook, open source textbook, anybody can edit. And of course, I will make sure that the content is as correct as possible, and you can point out the mistakes, and I'll make sure the mistakes are updated. Okay, so you can use this template. I recommend you to use this template and so on. And if any of you are sending me links, see, this is another thing I like about Codepen. Okay, this is where you'll begin to see why I like Codepen so much, especially for beginners. Okay, now let us say you are practicing something. So right now, let's say you are practicing here. And this is your practice. You know, you're like, okay, you're doing some code, blah blah blah, something. Let me just type something here. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you're writing some code, you know, writing some code late at night, in the morning. Okay, so you're writing some code, and then you want to ask me, okay, you know, you're getting stuck somewhere, you want to ask me, you want to show me your code. It is so easy with Codepen to show me your code, or anybody, you know, you want to discuss with your friends, you want to show it to someone else. Don't worry, you know, all you have to do is, you see here at the top, here, okay, once you save, you see this part here at the top in the address box, that is your unique Codepen link. Okay, so also you have a button called share here. Okay, you can just share it on Twitter, you can share it on Facebook, or you can just take the link here from the top and you give this to code to anybody. Right now in front of you, let me go ahead and open a private browser. You know, private browser means no login, nothing. So I'm going to put this link. So this is like your friend's computer now. Private browsing is like a separate browser. And I'm going to open this. I'm going to run it. See, there you go. Immediately you see the code that I was doing on other browser where I'm logged in. Here it's not logged in because it's a private browsing. So whenever you want to share something, either because you got into some trouble, some error, or you did something really great and you want to share with someone, like with your professor, maybe on your social network, on your WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, or you just want to share it with anybody, you know, just give them the link and they can see that code and the output immediately. This is another reason why I like Codepen so much. I love Codepen because of the simplicity. You know, you don't have to worry about installing Node.js. You don't have to worry about finding out what browser you're using, what code you're using, how you're using, which editor you're using, whether you have forgotten to save, whether you got forgotten to back up your code. Nothing to worry about. Codepen takes care of everything. All right, and the best part is, like I said, if you want to share your work, ask questions and things like that, you can just share the Codepen link and everybody can use it. And that is the good thing about Codepen. So these are all the good things about Codepen. And now let me go ahead and, you know, do a practice. Now remember earlier I went to W schools and we got this output on the screen. Now let's try to get this output on our Codepen account. Okay, so here what I'll do is, always what I do is I go to my dashboard. Okay, so actually, you know what I'll do, forget the dashboard, you know, forget the dashboard. I'll go to my tutorial website and then I will go ahead and open this template. Always, as I told you, always start with the template. If you're following the classes, please use the template. Okay, you can make a copy of the template, you can remove the advertisement at the bottom of the screen. I'm totally cool with it. Or if you don't, since the class is there, I did it, you want to give let that link be there, that's fine too. So start with the template, okay, and then, you know, go ahead and fork it. Okay, once you fork it, a new pen is created, and here you go ahead and change the name. So right now I want to show a simple hello world output from W3 Schools. Now I have mentioned before that W3 Schools is a website for beginners. A lot of experienced developers, many people, they don't like W3 Schools for whatever reason, but for me, I learned a lot from W3 Schools when I was young. I remember the W3 Schools website was there way back. I'm talking when I was 18 or 19, like 15 years ago or something. I think it was still there at that time, and I learned a lot from it. So I can never forget the contribution this website has made to my life. So okay, all right, so now I want to get this output on my Codepen. So the code is here, right here. Okay, so I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go here, and I'll go here. Okay, so what I'll do is I will go ahead and delete these old things. One second. Let me make this bigger. Okay, I can make this output smaller also. If you want more space, the output goes away and you can bring it back up. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize it, and I don't know if I can zoom. Let me see. Yeah, I can zoom here also. Good, perfect. So here what I want to do is I want to remove this this thing, and I'm gonna paste. Oh, sorry. So here what I want is I only want this output, right? So remember, I only need the output. So this is the part I want. So I'll take this and I'm gonna put it here. And there's a button here which is called Format HTML, which makes this HTML kind of, you know, indented and all that. So oh, I got a new subscriber, Malice Palabras. Malice Palabras, thank you, not subscriber, sorry. Thank you for following, sorry. Thank you for following Malice Palabras something. Sorry about that, I can't pronounce these names. I'm really sorry. Thank you so much, Malice, thank you so much. So I put the sentence here, so I'll save it. You don't have to save every time, it automatically saves every few seconds. Now let me see the output. Yeah, there you go. This is the output we wanted. Let me put it on the wall side by side. And here is our Codepen. And there you go. This is a heading, this is a paragraph. That's it. So that is how you use the Codepen. And I also explained to you all the many benefits of using Codepen and why I use Codepen. I explained the real reason why we use Codepen and not Visual Studio Code in the previous class. So I'm not going to explain that again. The videos are available on my YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and you're welcome. You're welcome, Malas. You're welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us to the class. So I've already spent a lot of time explaining why we use Codepen and not Visual Studio Code in the previous class. The recordings are available on YouTube, so you can check out my channel. But yes, I also tell you why there is a benefit of Codepen today. Now, of course, we've spoken about all these benefits about Codepen. What are the drawbacks? I think I should mention that because I've only been saying good things about Codepen. Now, the thing is, with Codepen, although I like Codepen, I only like it for teaching basics. I only like it for teaching basics because I'm an experienced developer, so whatever benefits Codepen has, like you don't have to set up your server, you don't have to install all the tools like Node.js, HTTP server, GitHub, JIT command tool lines, all those things I already know how to use. So whatever benefit Codepen has, for me it is not a benefit because I know how to use them on my own on my computer. So for someone like me who's been coding since he's 15 and has been working professionally for 8 years, Codepen is not something I want to use. In fact, for me, Codepen is going to be very slow. This web app, this web app I keep showing, this is our demo app. When the training is over, you will build this. You will build this with your own hands. Okay? I keep mentioning that at the end, we will build this. What you see on the screen, we'll build this using Visual Studio Code. Okay, when I build this web app, I build it using Visual Studio Code. If you ask me, can you build this on Codepen? I am sure you can. Okay, Codepen has the facilities to build complicated projects, but for me, it is just faster and easier to build it using Visual Studio Code. Okay, so but if you're still here when the final class is concluded and we start the final project. Okay, I will definitely teach you all the tools I use so that you are a proper web app developer. That is my job here. That is my task. I'm going to teach you how to use Visual Studio Code so that when you finish this training, when you finish and then you build your web app, you are like a proper web app developer, and you're no longer a basics web app developer. You are ready to become a advanced web app developer. You're ready to go out there and build some complex apps like a real pro. So till you are ready to become a pro, use Codepen. Once you're ready to become pro, jump to Visual Studio Code, use Git commands, use GitHub and all that, and become like a real pro. All right. So there you go. That is the whole thing about Codepen. So ultimately, we have now reached a point where I have shown you the basics. I have shown you the basics of files and folders. I'm not saying that it's covering everything. It's impossible to cover everything. One more subscriber, Admiral, bad word again. Thank you for subscribing to our following. Thank you for following our channel. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, so we have talked about the basics today, files and folders to some extent, enough to carry on the training. We have shown you how to use Visual Studio Code. We'll again come back to Visual Studio Code at the end of the training. And lastly, I showed you how I'm going to use Codepen. I talked about our template. Again, I'm repeating on our tutorial textbook website. You go here, you have the template. Always use this template. I'll be using this in every class. I request you to use as well because it will make my life easy, because the template has been designed with a lot of effort. It looks simple, but there's a lot of code. If you see here, I have put a lot of code here to get this simple output. So that every code I put there has some reason why it is there. Okay. Ultimately, it looks very simple and easy to use. So use the template in your practice. And like I said, the best part is when you are practicing, just go here, fork. There's a button called fork, and this, what you see, becomes yours. And then you can add, change it, modify, practice, and you can share it with whoever you want. You know, if you have any questions, I'm on Discord. If you're not on Discord, create an account, connect with me on Discord, and you can ask questions and all that. So that is what all the things we want to discuss today. As always, tomorrow again we are going to resume. So I'm gonna wait for a few minutes. I'm gonna be here for another 5 to 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please go ahead and type your question. If you don't have any questions, that's totally fine. In 5 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna wait. If there are no questions, I'll end the stream, after which I'll see you tomorrow. Those of you who don't have any questions, thank you for joining. All of you who followed me today, thank you so much for following, and watching the class. I'll see you folks tomorrow. Those who have questions, stay back, ask your questions, and leave when you're done. Otherwise, we'll end the stream in 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm just waiting for questions. And again, those of you who are leaving, please come back tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. IST, 2 p.m. Romanian time, which is also European time. And I think it's 11 a.m. Pacific time, and so on and so forth. And all the videos, previous videos, if you missed it, is available on YouTube and so on. So thank you again for joining. Question people, stay back. With those without questions, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm just waiting for any questions. I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes. If there are no questions, I'll be ending the stream. So just waiting. Altaya, thank you so much for joining in, man. So thank you again for coming in early and giving me feedback, sharing the links and all of those things. Fantastic, Altaya. I will see you probably tomorrow, or I might pop in on your stream later today evening. So have a good day ahead, Altaya. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. Bye bye, Altaya. You're most welcome. You too. Have a good day.